Hey guys, and welcome back to Spanky's Hot Rods and Customs at Home. Hey, today I'm trying to help a friend out. Got a Porsche 911 fender here that another shop painted. Let me show you what happened to it, and we're going to try to fix it. Alright, so what we have here is a 911 Porsche fender. The original fender had been involved in a wreck. Another body shop took it upon themselves to paint the fender, and they did a really good job on the paint, except for a few things. Up underneath the fender, super dry. You might even be able to hear that. Now I was hoping that the dryness and the orange peel that was on the bottom edge of this fender had to do with too much paint, and it had plenty of paint on it. So I went down to my buddy's shop and I went ahead and did my 3 steps of sanding, my 3 steps of polishing, only to find out about 30 seconds into it that the dryness was from not having any paint on it at all. So it got a little bit of primer on it and a little bit of base, but no clear. So it's dry here on the color, and it's super dry on the clear, and then up here, it had too much texture in it, and it's right on that hard edge, so I know it's gonna sand through. Also, the whole entire fender right here was dry, but I was able to get most of that out and buff down, but I pretty much know now it's from not having enough clear on it. So we didn't go through to the base there, and then we also noticed after we did all this that it had a chip up here where the gas door lid goes. So we're gonna fix the chip, we're gonna spray color here, and we're gonna spray clear over the entire fender. That's the only way to fix it. Now it's also dry underneath the front edge right here on clear, and you can see how let me bring you in closer. Now that you're in closer, you might be able to see how dry it is right here, and also look at the bottom of the fender right here. You can still see primer. Guys, it's a really good idea to go ahead and spray as much of this as you can when you're doing these small jobs. Spray areas that you know for a fact you can't see. So let's see what we're gonna do to fix this. On the chip right here, we're gonna have to feather that out. It did not get down into the primer surface, but we don't want there to be any kind of a bump there that you can feel. So we'll feather that out, we'll spray some color in here. These tabs are super dry, and the lip going all the way around, you can even still see a little bit of primer down in here where it didn't get color blown to it. Now you won't be able to see that on the outside of the car, but every time this customer would go in and put gas in, he would see this kind of stuff right here, and he's got a really, really nice car, and that's just not acceptable. All right, so to get this job started, got some 600 wet sandpaper. I went ahead and put it down in my sanding bucket in some nice warm water, because it is a cold day today. We're gonna let that soak up and get nice and warm and soft, so we won't put any hard lines. It's also clean water, very clean water, because we're gonna put that paper on top of this surface. We want the surface flat, don't want any trash in there to contaminate it and put any scratches in here. Once we get it cleaned, after we sand it, we'll go back in and we'll spray our base coat in the areas that you can still see primer, and then we'll clear the entire fender, all in the same procedure. So, this fender was only painted a couple of weeks ago. It'll bite fine and it'll be done. Now, let's get this thing sanded and get these repairs made. All right, got my glasses on, which I do most of the time, and I've gone over every square inch of this fender. I don't know if you can see it on camera or not, but when you start to get pink, when you're sanding on a red fender, that means that you've gone down through the clear. I did that with 1 or 2 swipes on all the low parts of this fender down here, and then of course inside the wheel opening that we already knew about. Also on the back edge where it meets the inside fender and bolts to the body, 1 swipe and it started turning pink, meaning that they didn't get clear on here either. So I'm not sure why they were trying to save the clear. You know, when you get through with these jobs, there's always some left in the can. So why not use it? Put the fender or the part that you're painting in good light where you can reach 100% of it when you're doing it all over, so you can get it all at one time. So I think that's what happened on this. Improper placement in the paint booth, and he wasn't able to see where he had been, where he had gone, or it was a Friday afternoon and he was in a hurry. So let's get that done, and then it's time to clean it, tape it, and paint it. All right, there's still some texture left in there from the original paint that you couldn't see when it was polished. And then we've got some areas that got trash in it, like that right there. We want to go ahead and get those out. Saw some more trash right there, right underneath that light, right on the light now. See that? You can see now that it is about chest height. I can get all the way around to every component of this fender. It's not laying on anything. So these are the areas right here that did not catch paint or clear. We can get to them really easy. All right, I think we're ready to go. Let's go mix up some paint. All right, so hopefully you can hear me. What we're gonna do now is, let me wring this out just a little bit. I've got wax and grease remover on my towel. I've also got a dry towel to go behind it. Very light pressure. I'm putting the wax and grease remover on it, not to touch it with my hand. Now I'm holding the fender steady with this other towel. Then I go on here and it's wipe on and wipe off. I'm just helping it dry. Now, it'll dry on its own, but I'm picking up any residue left behind that the other rag is not getting. I keep my other rag folded on 4 squares. The 4 squares will allow me to open the towel up and make multiple passes with the same towel. Each pass is with part of 1 square. Now what I'm doing is removing any oils from my hands, any residue left from sanding, getting in all the little cracks, getting out all the dust that I can find. This will help eliminate a lot of comebacks later. After this, we'll go back over it with a tack cloth and immediately spray it. All right, so one of the final steps is to go around everything with a tack cloth, get all the dust off. Go ahead and inspect it one last time, even though I've wiped it down with wax and grease 4 times. Got the paint mixed up? Let's do this. All right, so I put 2 coats of color on it. And that's flashing off right now. I don't see any kind of imperfections in it at all. All right, the next step is clear. I'll show you that after I do it. I've already wrecked 1 camera and 1 phone by having it in the booth at the same time that I clear coated something. So I'm not gonna do that again. All right, it's mixed up. Let's go. Okay, here's a sneak peek at it with clear. And it's been drying for about an hour and a half. I got a few little specks of trash in it. I should have cleaned out the paint booth, but I didn't. But most importantly, it's painted all up in here where it wasn't before, and it's got clear up in there. But from being out of the gun, I think that's a good paint job. All right, so I brought the fender out and let it kind of get sun-baked. It is the next day. I think it came out pretty slick, but there's a couple of fuzzies in it that I'm gonna have to knock out. Anyway, there we go. This may be the last little video I do of it. I may do a little cut and buff video. Well, there we go. All finished, all done, and it looks great. Customer ought to be happy with it. I hope. Got my fingers crossed. And get his customer on down the road. Now, I need to get out in the garage and go build something, but I'll see you on the next episode. You do the same thing. I better quit rubbing on it. I might rub the paint off.